Larry, who is this guy?
It's me,
It's you.
49 years ago.
Wow. What year was this photo taken, roughly?
1970, probably in April or May.
April or May of 1970. Do you remember where the photo was taken? Roughly?
Well,
Somewhere in Southeast
probably
Asia?
probably on LZ Ranch
LZ Ranch. In Vietnam?
in Vietnam. No, in
Yeah.
Cambodia.
Cambodia. Okay,
Yeah.
LZ Ranch is in
That was
Cambodia.
the place where we got overrun on LZ Ranch.
LZ Ranch, you got overrun.
Yep.
Well, let's I'm going to come back to that for a second, but let's talk about this guy for another second. Is that a cross he's wearing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is he wearing a cross?
I was raised Catholic,
Okay.
and they had a rosary.
Is that what that is? Is that a rosary?
Yeah, it's a rosary. All those little beads
I
around
see
there.
him, yeah.
And we had guard duty from, say, 8 o'clock at night until 9, and then again from 2 to 3 in the morning. We had to pull 2 shifts, and every night I would pray that rosary.
You do so how does that, is that the Mary, Mother of God, pray for sinners now and at the hour of our death?
That's it. That's the
Is
one.
that it?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing?
I mean, that's all I knew. I didn't know any
I'm not
other
a
way.
Catholic, but for some reason I know that.
Yeah. That was the only prayers that I knew when I was in there. That was the extent of my relationship with God. So it was some beads.
So when you're standing watch, you're going through, was that more about this is one way to pass the time, or was it about this is a form of life insurance?
Kind of like Lord, I can't make it without you. There's 58,000 dead bodies out there, and I need your protection. And it was my heart prayer.
Yeah.
But the only way I knew how to pray in those days was just, you say those beads. And it was you're praying the Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And then you'd say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for me. I need it. I'm desperate. Pray for me now and at the hour of my death. Amen. So I'm asking her to help me, I guess.
And you saw a lot of combat. So, I mean, pray for me now and at the hour of my death. You saw a lot of combat. So let's go back to what you were saying a minute ago, that the photo that we were looking at might have been taken at LZ Ranch, so Landing Zone Ranch,
right,
in Cambodia. Let me just show a map real quick here, just so we can see. So we're looking there at what's called Four Corps in South Vietnam, the southernmost part of old South Vietnam, and then the blue arrows there indicate the incursion into Cambodia. And of course, by this time, the president is Nixon. Did you have any idea back then why, we're sort of setting the stage for getting into talking about what happened at LZ Ranch, but it was the war in Vietnam, but you're going into Cambodia next door and getting into a bunch of fights in Cambodia. What was that all about?
Well, what they would do is they would hit us in ambushes, and in 1968 they had the Tet Offensive, and that movie by Mel Gibson, We Were Soldiers. They had, I think it was like 280 guys, but 240 of them died.
This is in the Nha Trang in 64, I think, the We Were Soldiers story.
60, or might have been 64.
Yeah, that was Nha Trang, and Tet is 68, yeah.
And we were with the 1st to the 7th Air Cav. That was the exact same unit that we were in.
Yeah.
And so, Nixon just got tired of them hitting us and running into Cambodia and hiding, and they had all their machine guns, mortar rounds, and everything in there, all their caches. And Nixon said, we're going in. We've waited all this time. We're not playing any more games. We're going in. And before they went in, the day before, they had they said it was the biggest B-52 strike they had since any invasion of any island in World War II.
Wow.
And for 3 hours straight, the ground shook. I was about 20 miles away, and it was just and bombing them. And when we got in there, there were so many 500-pound bomb craters and 1,000-pound bomb craters that you couldn't even walk a straight line. You'd have to walk around the bomb craters because it was like you dug a basement for a house. And we listened to that for 3 hours straight.
So even though the B-52s are dropping bombs 20 miles away, you can still hear it.
Yeah, it almost
feel it?
Yeah, it almost like the ground was just rumbling, and it was the weirdest noise that you ever heard while those bombs were hitting and blowing up for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to make sure when we went in there, we weren't going up against just a lot of battalions of the NVA.
How did it work out?
Well, it wasn't the battalions that we went against, but as soon as we got to LZ Ranch, we had to make a sweep of the ground. And the worst firefight I was ever in was when we got to LZ Ranch. And we were like D Company and C Companies going this way, and we had a 10-man patrol, and we're making a sweep covering the ground looking for the enemy, and we ran into C Company. And C Company opened up on us.
Mistakenly thinking you were NVA or something?
We're NVA.
Oh, boy.
And you're talking about 120 guys with probably about 10 M60 machine guns, M79 grenade launchers, and M16s opening up on 10 of us.
Wow. And
we just had our head buried in the dirt. And I said, this must be the biggest NVA battalion we've ever come up against.
Wow.
And one of our guys, Leon Gunner, he got shot through the hand at that thing. And above us, about 3 feet in the air, all these branches were just sawed off. I mean, just sawed off. And we had our head in the dirt, and they were just going over our head. And then the battalion commander's flying around up in the air, and he says, pop a smoke. So we had smokes, and we popped a yellow smoke.
You're communicating with him,
with
saying
him up
we're
there.
Under friendly fire.
Yeah.
You thought it was NVA still, or had you figured out it was friendly fire?
We didn't know. We never saw it. All we heard was bullets flying at us.
Oh.
And so we popped a yellow smoke,
Yeah.
and they popped a yellow smoke. So yellow smoke is going up through there, and the commander sees yellow smoke. And we said, we got yellow smoke. And he said, just cease fire and back out. So we backed out. They ceased fire. They opened up on us. When you get there, you get jumpy. They didn't see our faces. You know, they saw movement and just went crazy.
Wait, they opened up on you again?
No, just the first time.
That one time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then we got out of there.
Yeah. Now, so is this the firefight you were, this is the firefight you were referring to? So the worst incident was a friendly fire incident?
Yep.
I've just, you experienced, I mean, you know, I don't know if you ever thought about it this way, but you experienced what it was like to be on the other side, right? On the other side of that American firepower.
I mean, it's unbelievable. You talk about 10 machine guns opening up on you. It was just unbelievable. Just the noise was just deafening. And you're saying, man, what did we run into?
So at first you thought it was NVA?
Yeah.
You had the one guy wounded in the hand. Were there other casualties?
He was the only one.
That's
he got it was a miracle that only one bullet hit him in the hand.
Maybe your rosary praying worked out. at least in that one
instance.
At least that one instance, yeah. How long were you under fire from the friendlies?
Probably, I'd say at the most 5 minutes.
So did you eventually connect with those guys and say,
no,
what's the problem?
No, when you got a company, it's like you got your landing zone, and you know they had the bulldozers come in and push dirt up about 4 feet high and circle all the way around it, and that's where we'd stay. But when we came in, we were like D Company. Well, A, B, and C is leaving, and E Company was the mortar platoon, so we never really ran in to those other guys. It was just us.
Do you know if they ever learned that they opened up on friendlies?
Oh, I'm sure they heard it from the battalion commander and the captain.
They got the word.
But that was bad. But we only got one guy shot through the hand. But about a month later, after we had built the LZ ranch, when they were making a circle, they found that there were sappers. I don't know, I think if that's a proper term. It's guys that were being trained to go through barbed wire.
Yeah, NVA or VC, who are infiltrators, basically.
They're infiltrators.
Yeah.
And when we went through there, we saw their training schedule, their training outfit, where they had all the barbed wire set up, and they would go through it, and I mean, they were just experts. Well, they hit us 30 days later when it was dark out in the middle of the night.
And this is at LZ Ranch.
LZ Ranch.
Yeah.
And that's where it was way more casualties than the other companies shooting on us.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they came through in dark.
Yeah.
They didn't set off one trip flare. They didn't set off one Claymore mine. And they had about, I guess, 12 or 15 of them that had came through the barbed wire. And they just, once they get in the middle of you, you can't shoot at them. Because if you're shooting at them, you're going to hit the guy on the other side of your circle. They're in the middle.
Which is one of their tactics, right?
That's their tactics. And they're just throwing grenades in the hooches in our bunker complexes and just killing guys, just throwing things all over. And just the stories that, were there, we ended up killing about 12 of them. And we ended up having about 6 guys get killed. But in the midst of that, I was on the other side. They came through the woods, the closest part of the woods. I was on the other side. And one guy got shot through the shoulder, one of our guys. But, that was a bad thing. And they just took a bulldozer, dug a hole, threw the 12 dead bodies in, and then buried it back up. But that was bad when we got overrun in LZ Ranch.
Now, is that a different time, or is this
that was that time?
This the instance that
when they came through the barbed wire.
These guys got in there, and I mean, they must have known that this was for them a suicide mission.
It had to be.
Yeah.
Well, they had 50 caliber machine guns, or whatever they had, whatever their caliber was, on the other side. So they came in this way, and the 50 cal was over here. So I think they were planning on coming in this way and then going out under the cover of the, low crawling out. But they didn't. I don't think any of them made it out.
Did their machine gun open up on the LZ as well?
Yeah, but I mean, it couldn't have been. They were in the middle.
Yeah.
So they were probably just picking off the sides of the circle.
Jeez.
So
what were you asleep when this started?
Yeah, I think it was about 2 o'clock in the morning when they hit us.
So someone else was on watch, and
yeah. And I mean, you're watching, but there's no moon out. They hit you when it's overcast, and you can't see your hand in front of your face, and they just went right through the wire, just like it wasn't even there.
Wow. So what's that like? How long did this whole thing go down?
In the morning in the morning it was over.
So it starts around 2 a.m.
and they're just firing here, throwing grenades there, and it's hard to see who's who. You can't just open up fire. You got to see their face. And one guy played dead. That was a guy that wrote me a letter. I think you read the letter, but it was this guy he was a machine gunner, and he got killed when he was on the berm firing at him. But he said he played dead, and he just looked like he was like this, and he had his eye open just slightly, and he saw the guy. He could see his whiskers. That's how close the enemy was, and that guy made it. He just played dead, and he walked by him.
He survived this instance, but was killed later.
Well, the other guy was killed, the machine gunner. He was on the bunker. Yeah. He got killed, but he was right near him.
Wow.
So
if this thing starts at 2 a.m., around what time does everything settle?
I'd say it took a couple hours.
Really?
Till the last one was found, because it's pitch black. Nobody knows where to fire or what to do. That's probably why 6 of our guys got killed.
The bullets are flying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that had to be basically a suicide mission.
That's what I thought.
Get in the middle and just get these Americans and completely disoriented, and they don't know what they're shooting at.
And I've did a lot of thinking over the years, but I'd say in the last 2 years, my whole mindset has changed.
How so?
I have the utmost respect for the North Vietnamese and their army and the Viet Cong. I mean, you and I are in America. And if somebody invades us, you know, you got your little girl or your boy or whatever, your children, you're going to fight for them till the death because they're invading your land. And we were invading their land. And what would you do if you got your kids at home, you got 3 or 4 kids, and your captain says, okay, I want you to go, and it's basically, if you get out, it's going to be a miracle, but you're going to go. And you know you've got a death penalty right on your forehead. And you go anyways, and you lay down your life with 12 other guys just to take out some Americans.
Yeah.
That's my hero. We weren't like that. You know what we did? We went in for 1 year and got out. And we said, thank God, praise God, we're back in America. You know what they had to do? They had to do suicide mission after suicide mission after suicide mission. And most of them, I mean, we were fighting teenagers. They were young kids. We'd killed the rest of them.
Did you see that yourself? I mean,
yeah, I saw younger kids.
14, 15? Maybe a little bit
16,
older?
17, 18.
Yeah.
They were young.
Yeah.
And, there was probably some squad leaders that were probably in their 20s. I mean, all of us, we were 18, 19. I was 19, 20.
Yeah.
I mean, one guy, Bill Williams, he was 28, and we thought he was an old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so what you're describing is a sense of I don't know if admiration or respect just for the incredible tenacity, right, of the NVA, the VC. Not only, I mean, you experienced when you got hit by that friendly fire, you experienced the tremendous power of the American military, right?
Yeah.
These guys are experiencing that for battle after battle after battle after battle, and of course, they're fighting the French before. I mean, for some of these folks, it starts in 1945.
Yeah.
It carries all the way through 1975.
Yeah.
But that leads to another question that comes up, because the NVA and the VC, of course, you have some who give up and desert and come to the other side, and the Kit Carsons and all that. But I mean, the general take is these guys were pretty tenacious, and they're losing pretty much every battle. Not every battle, but they're losing certainly most battles. But they keep fighting. But then the Vietnamese on our side, the Arvins. I don't know if you did much with the Arvins or not.
Mountain Yard people.
Well, there is a sense of respect for them, but just what are your own thoughts about that? Because I'll just put it this way, when vets talk about the VC and the NVA, there usually is that sense of, I mean, they were incredibly tenacious and persevering. The Arvins, not so much.
Yeah.
The soldiers from South Vietnam.
They could flow either way.
Was that your sense as well? I don't know if you really did anything with the Arvins.
We never ran into too many Arvins that I know of. It was Viet Cong, the NVA, and, we saw Chinese in there. I'm positive there were Chinese that were in there fighting against us. That they just come over the border and they're right there, and so you're fighting them too.
Is that because they were bigger? They just physically looked.
Yeah, they look different too than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing that kind of got me was we would get in a firefight and we might kill 5 or 6 of them, or something like that, or automatic ambush would hit them.
Yeah.
And the big deal was, see, I don't know that I had that much respect even for a lot of the American GIs. We portray them as heroes. But you know what? I portrayed a lot of them as knuckleheads. They were idiots. The Americans. How can I say I'm an American? When you go up to a body that's dead and you start shooting holes in it, just to watch it when it hits the nerves and it just goes, and you start laughing, there's something wrong with that.
Okay, yeah.
And that's what I saw. And you know, you chop a Vietnamese's head off, and you put it on a stick up there,
Yeah.
and you laugh.
Mm.
You know, I mean.
So that's what you mean by knuckleheads, or guys who had just been so brutalized by what they had experienced.
I think everything that we do comes from our heart. Mm. And they were just didn't care. I mean, I wouldn't do it. You know, I got respect even for a body. You know, you look in the Bible, you got Joseph. He died, and they say, take his body and bury it over here. They're respecting the body and not abusing it and just laughing at it. You know, it's just not respect for mankind. Or after we killed, say, 4 or 5, and we go there and we'd say, hey, what's he got in his pockets? Let's go see. Has he got any knives? And then we pull out the picture of his and open it up in his wallet, and we just killed Daddy and his 4 kids. Are we going to, yay, we just killed Daddy? What if it was you?
Yeah.
And we killed you, and you got 4 kids, and you got a widow that's got to raise those 4 kids. I look at it differently. It's a whole different thing. They're not the enemy. We're just all human beings that are trying to make it through the day, you know?
Are you describing, you know, you said a few minutes ago that that your thinking had changed. So are you describing the way your thought has changed, or are you describing what you felt at the time? So for example, you described this guy who, and you read about stuff like this, guys fighting the Japanese in the Pacific, they're so brutalized by what they've been through. They're doing all kinds of horrific stuff. But then others are repulsed by it. So not everybody is brutalized that way.
Right.
Is that how you felt at that time as well? At that time, did you see that and feel repulsed by it? Or at that time, were you yourself just sort of so numb to it that it kind of...
Well, I was repulsed by it, yeah. But everything's happening so fast that, you know, it just you see it and then it's gone. I mean, we had one guy where we had an automatic ambush goes off. This is how crazy I was. You got an automatic ambush go off in the middle of the night, and you hear people screaming because they lost body parts. When those Claymore mines go off and you got 20 of them in a row, and you got somebody that follows a trail and it goes off,
yeah. We
had about 6 dead bodies, and then we had a couple people that were just really wounded.
Yeah.
And one of them was like a girl. And she was just in the line of the Claymore mine. And there's guys that she's all blown up, and this guy's talking about having sex with her. I mean, you got to be sick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
and she was a civilian. She wasn't.
No, well, she was an NVA.
She was NVA.
Or a Viet Cong or something. And then you got then the captain's there, and we put a machine gun right on the trail. And the dead bodies are out there, but there's 3 people that are still alive. And we got a Kit Carson scout that's speaking Vietnamese, and he says, surrender, we'll get you medical aid. And the guy took his rifle, and he started moving it towards our machine gun. And the captain said, get ready, because if he points it any farther towards us, open up on him. So the guy's half dead, and he's got his AK-47, and he's turning it towards us. And I see the Kit Carson scout talking to this guy. And so the captain said, open up. So he opened up for 10 seconds. Done. And then we walk, and we look at him. At one point, he had eyes, nose, cheeks, teeth, ears. He opened up for 10 seconds on his head. He had no head. He had a few pieces of hair sticking out the back of his neck, and his brains were just slopped on both sides of his head, and there's no head. And it's just like you look at that, and it's just like you just keep going. Whatever. And then we checked out the dead bodies, and about 3 weeks later, we're on patrol, and we came back to those same bodies. They're filled with maggots. They stink so bad, you can't eat. It's almost like you got to throw up just walking by them. But nobody buried them, and they're just dead.
Yeah.
you know.
And I mean, this experience all by itself, of course, is going to be, a heavy experience for the rest of a person's life, having that memory. But you're saying that this is just one of many dozens, maybe a couple hundred little moral disasters that you experienced in a year
Yeah, just one after
as a
another.
19, 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and it's just like every couple of days there's something going on.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
So when you said your thinking has changed in the past couple of years, then the change is from kind of the, whatever the right word is, the apathy or the numbness, the indifference. It changes from, are you saying it changes from a feeling of indifference toward them to a feeling of respect, empathy, or
Even
how?
affection.
Even
Affection. I'd go that far to say affection for him. Because
Yeah.
when I was there, my best buddy Bill Williams got killed, and I remember the night before he got killed. And, we were up on this little kind of ridge or whatever, and we got little care packages, from the United States.
Yeah.
And I'd get a pudding about once a month maybe. It was just a little can like that, and it was about that high. And I ate half of it, and I just couldn't eat anymore. It's rich pudding. What are you going to do? Throw it out? And I said, Bill, here, you can have the rest of my pudding. And he said, Larry, why do you treat me so good when I treat you so bad? And he was just kidding, because Bill was the best. If you had too much to carry, Bill was a bull. And he taught high school mathematics in 11th and 12th grade for 3 years, and he got drafted at 28.
Wow.
And his wife taught at the same school, and his sister taught at the same high school. So Bill, we went to bed that night, and we had an automatic ambush go off. In the middle of the night, boom, it goes off. So, we got to check it out. And that's where we lose our guys, when we go check out an automatic ambush. Because they're mad. You just blew up 5 of their buddies, and they want to take you out. And so that went off in the middle of the night. And the next day, the captain says, all right, you guys got to go out on patrol and see what happened with that automatic ambush. So you don't know if a pig set it off, or a chicken, or a snake, or whatever. But normally when we check them off, it was people, because we put them where there was a trail.
Yeah.
So that day, Bill Williams had 6 days left in country. 6. He'd been out there for, 300 and whatever days. He had 6 days left in country, and he's still in the jungle. And Mark Ranstatler, Mark had 8 days left. And so we had to go on patrol. The guy that has the least amount of time in country doesn't have to go out on patrol. But Mark was saying, man, I don't want to buy it. You buy a bullet, right?
Yeah.
And he says, I don't want to buy it. Man, I only got 8 days left. You know what Bill said? I'll go.
He had 6, he said?
He had 6.
6 days.
6 days left. The guy with the least amount doesn't have to go.
Right. Yeah.
So Bill said, all right, I'll go. Well, it's at the bottom of the ravine, like this. And we got the Claymore mines all lined up, camouflaged with the tripwire there, and somebody tripped it. So it was a valley. And at the bottom is where it went off. So we have to go down this ridge and get down there. It's only about 40 feet high, 50 feet high. So we're going down there. We get halfway down, and they ambush us from the top. They're at the top of the ridge, and they're shooting down at us on this side.
And how many of you? There were 3 of you?
There's 10.
10. Okay.
10 of us.
10 of you.
So we're pinned down. And it's all jungle, so you can't see anything. So we're just putting one magazine after another and just firing up where it's coming from. Well, we can't see them. And they could see us because they're looking down. So we're firing. And then Bill is right next to me, and he goes, ooh, ooh. And I looked over, and he took a bullet right in the head. And he's firing like this, and then he goes, just fell forward, and he goes, and he pulls the trigger and shoots our other guy. And the M16 bullets tumble, and it just ripped right down his leg. He's screaming. Bill's not saying nothing. and we're calling for the medic, and the captain comes running. And I never saw Bill after that. He died. But I never saw it because I'm in the battle. And the other guy, the medic shot him full of morphine and did what they could with Bill, but I'm right there and I'm firing. And the captain comes with about 10 guys. So now we got about 17 guys, 18 guys, and we get to the bottom there, and they stop firing when he brought more people. And so you got 17 guys, and they're checking out the dead bodies. Again, it was 5 or 6 bodies. I wasn't counting. And you know
5 or 6 NVA.
NVA,
Yeah.
that we killed.
Yeah.
And so you know what the captain says to me? He said, Larry, let's go get him. Now there's 17 guys. Why don't we get on an online assault and go get him? But he said, Larry, let's go get him. And I'm not gung-ho. I care less. I want to go home alive. Yeah. I don't care how many I kill. I don't care how many body count there is. I'm not into it. But the people that are gung-ho, let's go get them. And I say, well, there's 17 guys here. Why'd you pick me? I mean, you know, we're in Cambodia. Why'd you pick me? Well, I'd been wounded twice already. I had 2 Purple Hearts. He's the one that sent me to the rear. I'd do something crazy, run through some bullets or this. So he sends me back to the rear, and the battalion commander puts a bronze star on me with the V device for valor. And then maybe 3 weeks later, I do something else stupid. And he said, Larry, go back to the rear. So I go back to the rear again. The battalion commander puts another bronze star on me with the V device for valor. And so the captain, he got to know me a little bit because he kept sending me back for bronze stars. And then I got another one. And then 2 air medals, combat infantry, just all that stuff. Yeah. So he sends me back. So you know what? Who do you think he wants by his side when it's time to go get him? He could have called 17 other guys, but he said, Larry, let's go get him. So what am I going to do? Say, hey, find somebody else, man. It's not my turn. Yeah. You know? So I start crawling up. I said there was a valley like that. So I start crawling up there. I'm crawling up to get to the top with my M16. Captain's right behind me. Yeah. I mean, come on. You know, the captain, he's running the whole show. We get to the top and see this little cup here? It was like somebody took a whole cup of blood and threw it all over the trees. So when we were firing up there, we hit somebody in the face because we blew blood all over the leaves. And he wants me to follow the blood trail. And somebody on the other end of that with an AK-47, probably half dead, wanting to blow my brains out. And I got to walk point. I'm the point man. So I'm just trying to keep as low as I can, and I'm watching, I'm following the blood trail. He's behind me. Everybody else is down in the valley checking out the bodies. It's just him and I. And I start walking, and I get there for a while, and I say to the captain, I said, Cap, I don't see anybody. And I say to people, what do you think the captain said? I told him, I said, I don't see anybody.
Yeah, I think usually people respond, you know, keep looking or something.
Keep looking.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? He didn't say anything. I'm the point man. He walked around behind, in front of me, and he took the point. And he started walking. And I'm behind him, and he's going to get the first bullet. Wow. And we kept walking for a little bit farther, and he said, I think they're gone. And he just started backing up like that. I respected that man more than anybody I ever met in my life. My dad, my mom, anybody. Because you know what? He was willing to lay down his life and take a bullet for me. If he told me jump, I'd say, how high? You want me to run through bullets? I'll do it for you because you would have done it for me. I respected that man. I've thought about him forever. And when I became a Christian and I understood what Jesus did for me, that he laid down his life for me, for my sins, he shed his blood, I related it to the captain because he would have done that for me, the same thing Jesus did. And it's just like, that's that's why I've changed. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
I respected that man.
It sounds like he felt the same way about you. That's why he chose you
Yeah.
to go with him. When you look back on that, I mean, do you even remember his name?
Captain Hyslop, Hyslop.
Do you know if he's still alive or?
No. I mean, I'm 68. He was older than me, but older than me, he was probably 28 or 29 or 30, captain
So
running
maybe
the,
in his mid-70s now.
he'd be in
something
his
like that.
mid-70s.
I imagine if he is still alive and he thinks about you, I imagine he would say something similar. There was this. What was your rank at the time?
I was a Spec 4, E4,
E4.
and after
Yeah.
that, he came. This is happening within a 6-month period.
Yeah.
Just 6 months. All this is happening so fast.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he said, Larry, he said, I'm going to give you a choice. He said, I will make you a sergeant. And I hadn't even been in the Army 1 year. And he's going to make me a sergeant.
Yeah.
Or you can go in the rear and bring weapons out to us. You can bring weapons out. You can be the armor bearer. And I'm thinking, my mama didn't raise no fools. I said, the way I looked at it when I was there, in our 30 guys, when we went and Bill got killed, we're supposed to have 30 guys in our platoon. We called ourselves the Dirty Dozen plus one. We had 13 guys. The rest were killed or wounded.
Wow.
And then when we went down on that patrol, and Bill took a bullet in the head, and the other guy took a bullet in the leg, we called ourselves the Dirty Dozen minus one. Now we only got 11 guys. They couldn't put guys out there fast enough. They were getting shot. Now you think I want to be the sergeant and lead a platoon and be the next one up the bat? So I said, no, I'll be an armor. So I get in the rear and I think, yeah, it's going to be better in the rear. Well, we got mortared. We got mortared in the rear.
Was the rear back in Vietnam or still in Cambodia?
It wasn't. It was in Vietnam, and we would take a helicopter, and when a machine gun or something got blown up, I would take the machine gun out to the jungle and take the old one out. So it was, I don't know what ranch it was, but it was like it was back in the rear where you think it's safe. I mean, it's not really safe, but
still get mortared there.
So one night we got mortared, and the sergeant says, Larry, I want you to go down to the first aid station and see if any of our guys got hit. And I said, okay. So I said, where is it? I don't even know where it is. Well, you go down this here and go over here. So I get there, and I said, I'm from the 1st to the 7th Air Cav D Company, and I just came to, my sergeant sent me to see if any of the guys got hit were ours. And he said, come with me. You see this black sheet here? Okay, there was like a sheet there. And he opened this little door, and there were cots. And the cots were only about that high. And then there's one there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I get there, and there's 6 dead bodies. And they're all covered with a sheet. So he'd pull the sheet back, and I'd look at his face, and I said, that's not ours. And then he'd pull the next one back, and I said, he's not ours. And there were 6 of them on this side. And then he turned over, and there were 6 more on that side. And he pulled the sheet back. This one's not ours. This one's not ours. There were 12 dead bodies right there, right in front of me.
That was from the mortar.
That was from the mortar rounds. That's how quick you can go. So you think you're safe in the rear, and there's 12 dead bodies there.
But you weren't.
So it's really not safe like you think it is.
Sure. You mentioned becoming a Christian, and in a different discussion we'll talk about that and relate your experiences in Vietnam to that. Let me just ask you one more question now for this discussion. And usually I ask this at the end, but I'll ask it now. If and I ask this of vets a lot, if I had let's say that cup there, that in that cup was a magic potion, and the result of the magic potion, once you drink it, is that whatever good memories you have of Vietnam, you get to keep, but all the bad memories go away. Would you drink the potion?
To remember the good memories?
To keep the good memories, but all the bad memories go away. In other words, would you, if you could, would you give up all of your bad memories of Vietnam if you were given that opportunity?
I probably wouldn't.
You probably wouldn't.
I wouldn't do that because it's like my life has good and bad that has happened, but it's made me who I am. And I told you earlier that Bill Williams told Mark Ranstadler, he had 8 days left and Bill had 6. And he said, all right, Mark, I'll go. Bill went and took a bullet in the head. Bill also laid down his life for Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not as... See, when they killed Bill, I said, we're going to kill every one of them Viet Cong. We're going to get them back for Bill. It was never for the government. Never.
Mm-hmm.
He killed my best friend. Now I want to kill you. It was revenge. It was revenge.
Yeah.
That was my spirit in that day. It was revenge.
Sure.
And I was on a beach in Michigan, and it was probably a couple years after I got out of Vietnam. It was probably 1972.
Mm.
And I saw Mark. I saw Mark on the beach. And I was angry at Mark because he was alive and my best friend Bill was dead. I said, you know, Bill took your bullet.
Oh, you talked to him?
I talked to him.
Yeah.
I saw him on the beach in Michigan.
Wow.
And it kind of, see, my thinking was skewed, messed up. And it was just like, would I want to forget that? It's like, you know, I go to the Benton County Jail. Well, I tell these stories, and if I forgot them all, it's just like I wouldn't be able to share how God had impacted me with Captain Hyslop.
Yeah.
And he laid down his life, and I relate it to Jesus, and it opens up people's hearts. And if I could drink the potion and forget it, I don't want to forget it. I want to encourage men.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's stop this discussion here. Then we'll pick up with another one. We'll start another one, but we'll pick up right there.
Okay.
And we'll take it from there.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.